Peanut Gallery says, hanging chads has a whole new meaning these days.
Ain't
Deedly.
that the truth?
Ha ha! Ah, that hurts. All right, friends. We're gonna call it in here. Thank you for
Uh-oh.
Nope, not making that joke. Almost did, but nope, that's a joke for a different set of people. That's a joke. Well, no, that's a joke for Lockpick, but that's a joke for Lockpick when I'm not on camera. Uh, Thank you guys very much. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly presents General Chaos. I am Trevor Stewart 1308, and we are here with our associate producer, Kat, and we are going to be covering the presidential debate today. I know that I've said in the past that I don't want to cover this. That should take care of that echo.
Okay, good.
I know I've said in the past that I don't particularly want to cover a whole lot of the politics that's going on at the presidential level, but I feel like I did go ahead and listen to this live on the radio, and I feel like this one is it is how best to put this. I mean, it sets a precedent. This debate set a precedent, and I think it is important that we, as a fictional news outlet, cover that precedent that it set. Um, even if it means that we're going to be engaging in making jokes our about this situation, which is something we usually leave alone. Uh, yes, follow along on the NPR article to keep score and keep track of the lies if you can. Oh God, it was so. I mean, I'm gonna let's start by acknowledging that this was just painful for me to experience. Uh, because I, I mean, spoiler alert, I'm still gonna vote for Biden because he may be a doddering old man who may not survive until the next election cycle, but that's still preferable to a double cursed orange orange flavored Cheeto covered travesty of a human being that Trump is. I really don't want to lump him in with, humans because I don't want to insult all y'all like that. But I'm not sure how else to refer to him. I don't really think he even is a full person. So, starting with those opinions out of the way,
Yeah.
Um, I also want to say up front that there are going to be some difficult topics covered here. Um, you know, there's at least one thing that they brought up that made me want to smack both of them and say, keep that name out yo mouth.
Hmm.
I wanted to be Will Smith at least once throughout this process. And there were several times when I felt like Biden should have gone full Will Smith on Trump.
Hmm.
So, now that we have all of those warnings out of the way, friends, proceed on at your own risk. Uh,
I mean, the fact that we mentioned presidential debate and Trump in the same sentence should be enough of a warning to proceed at your own risk.
right. You know, uh, so you haven't experienced this debate debacle yet, huh?
No. I got home Friday or today is Saturday. I got home Thursday night.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Um, oh,
and checked out from most things and just
yeah,
turned on reruns and crocheted because I was done with my day.
get that. I get that. Oh, quick shout out to about having to do with crocheting. Quick shout out to a friend of ours over on Instagram, the Peculiar Pisces,
Mm,
who is a crochet. That's a crochet. I don't know, channel profile thing. Gram. It's a gram of crochet.
yeah,
Um, and they, I think she has started. I want to be very sensitive about pronouns because,
right.
you know, but I think she presents as a she. Not even presents. That gives a. I think I think she's a she. I think that's her pronouns.
Mm,
I'm fairly certain. It it may be she they. The pronouns may be she they. But she is starting to teach the beginnings of crochet through Instagram Reels.
nice, very
Yes.
nice.
Uh, so yeah, just that little sidetrack there. Anyway, uh, today's pre rolls are, of course, brought to you by the Hidden Leaf, Charlottesville, Virginia, 105 West Main Street, Suite 200, between 10,000 Villages and Hamilton's. And because I go and buy in bulk at this point, their black tube pre rolls are the best deal going for me because it allows me to get enough pre rolls for a week of streaming on a limited budget.
That's pretty fair.
Yes. Um, yeah, my budget has gotten limited recently. It has become limited, and
Mm,
it wasn't exceptionally unlimited before, but now it's definitely limited.
eh,
And so I'm having to be cognizant of what the best deal is, especially when it comes to things like the weed that I'm going to be smoking on the show, I need to make sure that I'm getting a good enough, a good enough price that I can get enough to cover the entire week.
Mhm. You know,
Bayek, that's the stuff right there. The hidden leaf, where the only thing better than the bud is the customer service. What were you saying?
so say one of my favorite math teacher type stories is teacher that was working in a school that had a the student population was heavily in with uh, various extracurricular activities that the police frown upon. And one of the students got up and told the math teacher how they didn't need the math. They weren't going to go to school afterwards. They weren't going to go get a job at a store afterwards. They didn't need the math. And the teacher said, well, what are you going to do when you get out of school? Well, I'm going to go over here to my cousin and I'm going to work with his crew until I get good enough to where I have my own things that I can do. And we're going to run our own product. And
Oh, homie,
the
you
math
gotta know fractions inside and out to run a crew.
the math teacher looked at us like, "Do you have any idea how much math you have to do just with budgeting and making sure that your people aren't cheating you and that the people you're dealing with aren't cheating you and that you're not cheating them?" And by the end of the school year, the kid was a straight A student in math. So that
It's like, no, actually, I do gotta learn this shit stuff. Dang it! I've dropped the S bomb twice this week.
well,
Yes. Mm.
and as one part of the story was he's so you actually applied Breaking Bad to real life to make a kid an A student.
I'm
And
just saying,
teacher's
man.
like, yeah, kinda.
Just saying. Like, also, conversion, unit conversion.
That's
Really,
definitely
really
part of it.
important. Like, when you're going from grams, which is a you know not an imperial measurement, it's a
It's
that other
metric.
one,
It's not a
metric.
freedom unit.
Right, it's not a freedom unit. uh when you're going from non-freedom units to freedom units, like ounces, uh especially in dry weight measurements, you need to know what the conversion rate is and need to be able to cancel out all of your units so that you make sure that you end up with
The correct
dollars
thing.
per.
Yep. Yep. I have several friends that are in England, Canada, Australia, and they all laugh at me when I'm using imperial measurements, and they go, "Oh, careful! She's using freedom units. We need to talk her back into using the real measurements again."
You know, the thing is, just because I'm used to freedom units, I visualize in freedom units.
Exactly.
Uh, you know, and I don't. I, I think that there is a valid use for both of them, and that
There is.
knowing both sets of measuring conventions is very important. Um, not just because our modern world uses both sets of conventions, but also because there are times when a decimalized system is more useful, and there are times when an intuitive fractional system is more useful.
Yep. And if nothing else, sitting and converting back and forth between the two helps keep your brain flexible.
Yep. Oh,
Right.
the Peanut Gallery just texted me asking me if I had to buy in bulk just to deal with the debate. Um, I did not buy in bulk to deal with the debate, but what I did was I drove up into the mountains to listen, sat there looking out over a beautiful view, and I had rolled myself several joints already. I when I did buy my bi-weekly to tri-weekly supplies, I ground up a bunch of it and pre-rolled myself a bunch of joints. Uh, yeah, see, okay, we'll come back to that in a second too. Peanut Gallery is over here telling me smart things. Um,
Sorry.
no, 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 no. This is why it's called General Chaos. It's chaotic generally. Uh, General Chaos, private joke. So, yeah, no, I salute you. I rolled myself up a bunch of joints and went up there. I got extra and rolled myself a bunch of joints, went up there and listened so that I was in the mountains and nobody could hear me screaming at the radio. All right. Oh, yes, I wanted to circle back to this. Peanut Gallery said also 40 does not register as hot, whereas 100 honestly does.
Mm,
Yeah, 40. You tell me it's 40 degrees out there. I mean, even if I'm used to Celsius, and I'm sure I would be like, oh my goodness, but 100 as a number itself has a lot of weight, whereas 40's meh. Even when you turn 40, it's meh. You know,
hmm
you're not you're not up the hill, you're not over the hill, you're at the hill at 40. Most of you are at the hill at 40. Me, I was over the hill at 17. Hey, let me tell you. I don't know where that was going, but
It went somewhere.
that's my Billy Crystal Mel Brooks.
hmm
Okay, so now let's switch over and start this debacle.
Yes.
Deadpan's got the right idea. He was just like, nope,
All right.
deuces.
Before we get any further, is everything actually on?
Uh, okay. The camera's on,
Yep.
right? Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. I'm streaming.
Okay.
Um, I can hear everybody. Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yep. I can
Yep,
hear you.
yep, yep, yep. Okay. See, my mic is hot. Uh, only one thing is muted in the mixer, and of that's something that doesn't mean anything. I think.
Okay. I can hear you. You can hear me. We can hear the screen, and
And
and you hit record.
and you can see the screen that we're
I
all
can see the
looking at,
screen.
right?
Yes.
Uh, because when you look on Twitch and you look at you see the thing where it says this stream is currently paused.
Mm-hmm.
That's I was wondering if when that pops up if it's paused for you too. Or but no, it isn't, is it?
On Discord, it's not. On Twitch, it kind of stays that way, but you can still hear everything.
Right, but you can see this screen. That's not where I mean to be circling. You can see this
I love it.
you can see this screen on
Yes.
Twitch.
Yep. I can see. I can see it now.
Yes. And I don't think I have anything. Okay. All
All
right.
right.
All right, friends. Pull up some coffee. Have a dip in your chair. Take a sip off your blunt and puff off your 40, and let's get into this.
I'm still gonna go get some cookies when this is done.
You should have cookies now.
No, no, no.
No, 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 no.
I
Okay.
don't want to choke on the cookies.
Oh, I meant as projectiles to throw at the screen.
No, they're good cookies.
Oh, okay.
We
All
do
right.
not waste the good cookies.
Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate a debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determined their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Folks, how are you? Great to be here. Thank you.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that...
So, first thing that everybody has commented on is that they both, Biden looked frail on that walk out, but that they both walked slowly and they both look old. Biden looking much older than Trump. And personally, I think that that's a very ungenerous assessment of how Biden looks.
Yes, but no. He looks like he's actually been president and been doing things versus Trump.
Right. He looks like he wasn't young when he started the job, and that the job has taken its toll on him, as the job takes on everyone,
Except for Trump, who, when he started, he looks pretty much the same as he does now.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, that's all because everything on him isn't real. It's hard for your toupee to go gray.
I mean, yes, it's hard for the toupee to go gray, but at some point, even the shag carpet in the White House had to be replaced because it just gave up.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But you have
So
to think he's got like he doesn't always go with this. I mean, I imagine he's got like 3 toupees for every day. One for the
uh,
morning, one for the midday, and one for the evening. So that, he's always got a spare toupee on hand. He's
I
got
feel
so
bad.
many toupees, they're not toupees. He's got 5 pays.
I feel bad for whoever he gets them from because you know that he has to. They have to sit there and style him specifically to give him the windblown pigeon look.
I think that is something that his toupee manufacturer does on purpose. I think that is the toupee manufacturer's revenge.
It could be, but I still feel bad for him that that's how they have to do things. You should be able to be proud that your work is on the head of the president, maybe former president, and instead you're like, don't talk to me. I have to style windblown pigeons. Okay. I have no clue what that face is for, but okay.
Warning, this is Peanut Gallery says, warning, really bad statement ahead. Putin takes care of his cock muppet very well. And by that I think he means rooster muppet.
Well, something.
But yes. Yes. Peanut Gallery just nailed it on the head. I think we were in commercial break and came back.
No, we were not in commercial break.
Oh, you snoozed him. That's
Yeah.
what that was. Okay.
It's not going to let me snooze it again, probably, but.
Oh, that's okay. We're gonna when we start getting close to another commercial break, we'll pause the video and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let's get back to this. Now that before we even start, really, we've been taking shots.
We have to.
At them.
That voters consistently say is their top concern the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things.
How do they not have
That's why I'm
water
working so
up
hard to
there
make
for
sure
everyone?
I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos. Literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Every
Before we get to President Trump, uh, Biden, other than the scratchy hoarse voice, Biden feels like a high school sophomore giving their first presentation to the faculty, having to present their first research project to the faculty.
No
Is that
rhythm,
a
really rushed.
yeah, is that a hold on. Is that a common high school sophomore occurrence that you have to present a research paper to the faculty?
You have other friends that would be better able to answer that one than I am.
Okay. In any case, it sounds like that to me. Yes, really rushed, no rhythm. He's very aware of he's very aware that he doesn't have a lot of time. So he's really trying to get all the information out. And we'll
Yeah.
address how that seems to be affecting his train of thought in a little bit. Okay.
All right, we've got 2 minutes and a little bit before we got one coming in,
All
an
right.
ad coming in.
Yeah. Let's see what damage Trump can do to himself in the next 2 minutes.
Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, the bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant, and the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up.
So first off, let's address Trump's pack of lies here. Just insane pack of lies here.
Uh,
Like it. Uh, but it doesn't.
think about yours because you only have like 10 seconds before the ads start.
But it doesn't help. I mean, nothing he said was true.
Yes.
It doesn't help that Biden isn't like respond. Okay, we're an ad.
Yeah.
I'll organize my thoughts as we are in ad. Just
Yes. Yes.
it's gonna be over and over. It's gonna be a repeating pattern of seeing times that Biden should have been able to hit it out of the park. Um, and should have just been able to nail Trump. Um, and just whiffs it. You know, and there are a couple of times where he's going to get the hit, but then if he'd have just stopped talking, the follow through doesn't help, you know? That is a good that's a good camera grab, screen grab of Trump there, isn't it?
That is. That is. He definitely personifies the duck lips movement.
Yes, it looks like he's puckering up to kiss Putin's brown eye.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this hair bit here,
Uh-huh.
I, it looks a little Boris Johnson to me.
Okay.
Just
Could be.
just a little Boris Johnson, like a little sort of, flapping out there in the wind. All right, we're back. Now what I was saying is, everything Trump said was untrue. And it should be easy for Biden to respond, but he loses the plot so quickly. He loses his train of thought so easily. And he just comes off looking not great. His responses feel so hurried, not metered.
Like if he doesn't say it now, he's going to forget what he wanted to say.
Right. He's got to get it out. But also he's saying words, not feeling them.
Yeah.
There's no feeling in what he's doing. Now, there will be times where he does have feelings. Still, that Trump face. That's the Trump face.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
All right.
If I can, you
Am I
want
allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the
Tapper is gonna regret saying that, buddy. You can do whatever you
I,
want with the time. Oh, dang it.
I think they need. All right. I was not paying attention to who these two moderators are supposed to be.
This is Jake Tapper and Dana somebody.
What they needed were like a preschool teacher and a high school teacher to sit there and run this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need someone that is really good with dealing with high strung, loud, big individuals, and someone that is equally good with dealing with high strung, loud, small individuals.
Yes. Also, uh, something that will become apparent is that these moderators have no interest in calling out the factual inaccuracies during the proceeding. They don't. There is no point at which they go, "You're telling a lie, sir," or "That is
So
untrue information."
So the moderators didn't actually moderate; they just worked the mute buttons, basically.
Uh, yeah. I mean, there is one point at which I feel like Tapper, near the end, they start trying to bring it back to the question at hand. And there are several times in the debate where they will put the question that they're answering up on screen because the answers have nothing to do with the question. And that's for both of them. That's for both sides of this.
So we have a very clear indication of this is the question that was asked, and this is how Bozo 1 and Ding Dong 2 answered this question.
Yep. I want to call them Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, but no, it's Tweedleold and Tweedlebrained.
No, we just go with Bozo and Ding Dong. Those are classic clown names.
No. No, I don't want to insult clowns like that.
I see your eyeballs over there. Hush.
So,
Apologies.
if
I'm pointing at
big
this
cars and big feet.
That had nothing to do with it.
That, by the way, Peanut Gallery, that made me laugh.
Oh, I forgot you said that to him too.
Oh, that was a good one. The the joke was, if having large feet means that you have a big willy, but having a large car means that you have a small willy, does this explain why everyone's afraid of clowns? That's so brilliant.
Huh?
That's so brilliant. That's anyway. Swear I'm not a size queen. I swear I'm not. Back to the debate.
Okay.
The U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. And they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we
Fact check it real quick.
Oh, let me pull that up and see.
Because
Problem is that this doesn't run in the. You have to scroll to find the fact checking pieces in this particular article because they were updating it as they went.
They were. They were. But also, I just want to start by saying that, again, everything he said is BS. You know,
All right.
he, what he is doing is he is saying the opposite of what is true, trying to convince everyone that the opposite is true, like that, you know, that night is day.
Welcome to the debate. I have to start at the bottom and
I
scroll up. This is ridiculous.
believe that the term for this, especially in the common culture, is gaslighting.
Yeah.
He is gaslighting us. He's trying to rewrite history in our memories here, and he does it throughout. It is a recurrent theme. I just wanted to cover that point real
Yeah.
quick.
Cut the
Ooh.
taxes, as an
Yes.
example,
What was that?
I'm scrolling and knowing that in the NPR thing, one of the things they noted is how there's no audience and there's no actual reporters present. It's effectively the camera crew and these two.
Yes. They are not playing to anyone in set, which means they have no one to back them up. They
Mm-hmm.
have no audience to cheer for them. Although Trump, I swear, in his delusional little brain, he hears them there anyway.
Well, yeah.
Um,
His head's like a seashell. You shake it hard enough and you hear the roar. He thinks it's the crowds. We think it's the
mhm,
seashore.
something. What I think it is a very slow motion uh, stroke.
Mm,
I think he's been having a stroke for the last decade or so, and it's just been happening. Like slow moving. Uh, the Peanut Gallery points out that the Afghan evac was his negotiation, was Trump's negotiation, not Biden's.
it just happened after he left office.
Right, right. Much like everything else that he did was, he made a huge mess, said it was good, and then left Biden to clean it up.
And the couple good things that happened were things that were put in place by the previous administration,
Right,
and those were negotiations and things that were started and they finished up at his point.
right, exactly.
In
Ex-
reality, the only time you really see a president have to deal with their own mess is if they run for 2 terms and it happens during the second term.
or they do have a break term.
But that's still 2 terms.
Yes, yes, but and it is still like happening in the second term, but having that break term in the middle means that more of their mess gets to catch up with them when they get back. And who has done that? Was it Garfield, or I think Garfield was one of them.
Yeah, I think so. Mm.
I think there were a couple of them, and I think Garfield was one of them. I think Garfield was the only one to do it in modern history or something.
Yeah, but still,
Right?
I kind of wish they would go back to something they used to do, which, among
Running
other
them out of
things,
town on a rail?
Actually, no. What I was going to say was back when the winner had to make the loser their vice president.
Oh, God, no. God, no. No, not no. No, because I don't want Trump to even be vice president.
I'm thinking more the opposite angle of things, where
I mean, normally I would say yes, but not in this case. No. In this case,
yeah,
no. In this case, no. Oh, God, no. I mean, that's still enough of its own nightmare.
it is. But if you're the vice president and you've spent your entire vice presidency touting how you're doing these things, and then you get up to run and you slam the other guy's policies and try to blame it all, and then you're hit with all the clips of every time you were like
Right.
totally kissing up and taking credit for this, and it's like, this is my idea, and I convinced him to do that, and now it's terrible.
Right. I mean, I did, yeah, like, yes.
But then I'm also a proponent of going back to allowing Congress to just fight things out, fisticuff style.
Yeah, I am too. I would vaguely rather see combat politics in Congress at this point
Yeah,
because it would require turnover. You wouldn't get old men in Congress anymore because they'd be too old to fight the younger guys. Or
and if you
younger
did,
women and younger women.
yes,
Although I believe that if we did that, what we would slowly see is that Congress would trend more and more towards old women
and
because while men get more frail the more they age, don't think that necessarily really holds true for women. Bricks and handbags. Oh goodness.
I mean, you'd have to. They already have a weapon policy instituted. You can't smuggle stuff in. So, as long as someone's off to the side to offer whoever's fighting a steel chair, we're good.
I mean, I would still love to see it. I'd rather our
Yeah,
politics be run pretty much any other way. Um,
we would have to institute a no high heels rule for you going out on the floor calling someone out. Those are nasty weapons.
I mean, yeah, they are. Why do you think I don't mind wearing them? There are many reasons I wear high heels. One of them is for self defense.
Mm?
So the Peanut Gallery said, look,
Oh dear.
Lil T can take some credit for the vax, even though he did drag it out and still happened to entirely happened drag it out still happened entirely in his term in spite of his dragging it out. Yes. Yeah, it did. Like he did like he can I it's funny you should say that though. Let's see how that comes up later.
Uh oh.
Sit on that thought, Peanut Gallery. Here we go. Strap back in. We're only 8 minutes into an hour and a half of this.
We may not make it through the whole bloody debate today. We may have to do some more another day.
I don't know. I think AOC can take MTG.
Yeah.
You know, I I would put my money on a member of the squad over MTG. And part of it is because MTG probably doesn't actually take care of her body that well, you know? But her dude bro posse,
Mm.
I don't want to see, I don't want to know who the squad is actually rolling with. Like, I have a feeling that the squad rolls deep and gangsta like that,
Mm.
and we just don't know,
Could be.
you know? And I mean, yeah, MTG's got them good old county boys out on her side, but if you've ever seen that clash, if you've ever been present for that clash, it is not it's not in the favor of the county boys to come into the city talking trash. Let's just say it. Let's just put it like that. Let me
Move on to something else.
you right. Yeah, because when you come into the city talking trash, you just unite everybody in the city against you. Like, all right, back to the debate.
Corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got
Wait. Does that mean that he's been standing in a puddle of liquid gold this whole time?
I mean, yes, probably.
I'm sorry, I did not catch that. You both were saying something.
I said yes, probably. Peanut Gallery was yelling, no, I see where you're going with that.
It was something that struck me when I heard him say it, but I just, I forgot that I heard it because it just keeps going. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, but what we did hear there was an admission that I don't know if we're hearing an admission of incontinence or an admission of
I'm
kink.
going with an admission of oiliness.
Of what?
Oiliness.
Ah,
And we have an ad break.
okay. I keep leaning into the microphone to hear you like that's gonna what the
Help that.
why
You talking to, so obviously if you get closer, it'll make me louder.
right? Exactly. That's the theory, but
Who do you think you are, Larry King?
Ooh. Some days.
I've got to work on something to come back to that, but I don't have one.
I'm just watching any of his interviews. It's pretty much the same thing.
You're not wrong.
You know.
I know nothing. I hear nothing. I say nothing.
When the truth hurts, it's because it's true. All right, and we're back from commercial break. Let's keep going. We've got a lot of debate to get through.
We may have to skip some of it.
got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
What?
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen the
Joe,
healthcare system.
what are
making
you
sure that we're able
talking
to
about,
make every
Joe?
single solitary person
How he's going to fix
eligible
things.
for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way
What
he
are
finished that
you
sentence.
talking
And it's a
about
shame.
now?
What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing
How
for
many times
other
are you gonna bring
countries,
that up?
and they do nothing
lot.
for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
I know it's late and you all have families, but I'm just going to keep talking.
Just add crayon.
And now we have
Crayon
a
mango for
different ad
you.
break.
And boss, you get a crayon pineapple if you admit this could have been an email.
President Trump? Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho,
Hi, Luck
despite that state's restrictive ban.
Vote
Former
for the
President
furthest
Trump,
line drive.
you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of
I want to
abortion to
vote
the
for the
states.
one who can carry
However,
their bag
the federal
the
government still
furthest
plays a role in whether or
when
not
they're
women
playing
have
golf.
access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question
Okay.
that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states.
This
Everybody,
should
without
be-
exception.
this should
Democrats,
be
Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it
home
back.
run for
Religious
Biden.
leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they
No,
happened
you
to
didn't.
vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade
Right.
and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected,
Yes,
wanted
Lockpick.
it brought back to the states. I
We
did
should
that.
play a game
Now
of
the
full
states are
contact
working it out. If you
archery
look at Ohio, it was a decision
for
that
the
was
presidency.
an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And
No, we don't.
frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't
Oh,
believe
no,
in
no,
that.
no. He does
But I
No,
believe
believe
in
in
no,
the
the
no.
exceptions
exceptions.
for
Wouldn't
rape,
apply to
incest,
himself.
and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected.
Okay.
The problem they
Okay,
have is
there. He said the quiet part out loud. That moment. He just said the quiet part out loud. He is admitting right there that everything he is BS. All he's doing is getting elected.
Yep.
He said the quiet part out loud. Like,
they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of
what?
That's not what.
No.
Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby.
What?
What happened is we brought it
No,
back
no.
to the states, and the country is now
What? Please.
Yes, Lockpick, you're right. Anything can be true if you don't care about context. Order of words. If you take the words out of order and rearrange them, then that is obviously true because all the words were said by the person. You're just rearranging how they said them.
So yes, please, Kat, give us some context on this.
Hang on, let me pull up the thing there.
Cause
I had that pulled up and then.
while you're doing that, Lockpick said anything can be true if you don't care about context. At no point was it implied that they'd killed the baby. You know, we in Virginia are not a bunch of baby killers. I don't want the world thinking that that's what we're like in this state. We, we don't. Generally, abortion after the 3rd trimester is called murder.
Yeah.
I believe that life begins at birth. Like, this is just that he could say this is just.
All right. So let's see. In one of the very first chunks that NPR had for that.
Lockpick says, hey, if you don't want us to think that, then stop killing all those babies on their first birthday.
Oh, you're not wrong. All right, so the first chunk for NPR notes that speaks specifically to this claim that there's a widespread practice of I'm just going to quote the whole thing. from the NPR report, and this is the one by Clayton Kincaid. It was one of the last ones posted of the night. I'm still working my way down. Yeah.
I know. And a lot of these are fact checks.
Yeah.
That's the messed up part. Like, and when I sent you the link, it was way, way shorter than this.
Oh, I imagine so. It kind of would have to be.
A lot of this stuff was actually added after I stopped looking at it, because I stopped looking at it when the debate was done. Like,
yeah. All right, so you're going to go down like 2, 3 or nope. Keep going down a little bit more. Yeah. No. Nope. Go back up.
NPR, one of Biden's biggest vulnerabilities on full display, his age.
Above that.
Okay. Here we go. Abortion a miss for both candidates. Yes.
Yes.
The issue by Clayton Kincaid. The issue of abortion was expected to be a big win of the night for President Biden, but neither candidate made cohesive arguments about their policy stances. Yeah, wait till we get to Biden's response. Oh, Lockpick says, Alex Jones told me the truth. He told me the truth. And now I have something incoming from the peanut gallery too. Oh boy. All right. Let's get to how Biden screws up his response.
Coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're at a state where in 6 weeks.
Okay, just stop speaking now.
You don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances
He's got a whole minute. He's going to keep going.
The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral.
What?
The
Joe?
idea that
what?
She was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses.
Where is this going, Joe?
It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Consider the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country.
The most dangerous place
in the world. Raping and killing.
What's considered the most dangerous place in the world?
Gaza and Ukraine, because they're active war zones.
Yes, right.
Those are the most dangerous places where you've got actual idiots deciding, I think it looks like a target, but I'm not sure. We're going to blow it up anyway.
Exactly. Lockpick talking about Biden's. He said, Lockpick says, he wrote his note on a plate of spaghetti, and whatever the noodles cross, he doesn't know which noodle to continue with. Whenever the noodles cross, he doesn't know which noodle to continue with. Yes.
It makes as much sense as anything.
That describes what's happening to Biden through this. Like, he does, just not there. Can't keep it together. Can't keep it together in this stressful minute for or in this stressful time for a whole minute.
I'm gonna for your fact checking thing, because I was scrolling down while listening. where Trump is accusing all of this. The fact check is that it's arguably the border itself is arguably more reinforced than ever. There have been more sections added and reinforced,
Yeah.
and that Biden has severely restricted asylum claims between ports of entry, blocking most unauthorized migrants from attaining asylum.
Yes.
Which that has been one of the key arguments recently in things going on, is the fact that you've got refugees wishing to enter the U.S., refugees seeking asylum, and because he's tightened things, they can't.
Right. Wait till they get to the immigration bill thing.
Uh-huh.
Lockpick says, and I like this explanation, I'm fully convinced that Biden was too distracted because he was resisting the urge to slap Trump. And that does explain the face that Biden is making through most of the night.
Maybe we could have just sent them up there with golf clubs and let them beat each other.
Again, we're getting to the golf thing. That's a bit later on.
I know. That's literally that's the only thing I actually heard the next day about the debate. First was the comparison between you remember the show The Dinosaurs?
Mm-hmm.
Right, not the mama. The comparison when they had their election and the commentator talking about the two candidates that were up.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one comparison, and the second one, the second thing was, and they talked about golf, like national issues. Your chance, golf.
I mean, it was an allegory for a pissing contest. It was a metaphor for dick size. It was, I mean,
They had nobody in the audience that could have whipped him out right there, compared, and been done with it.
Right? But Trump would never agree to that. Also, neither
No.
would Biden. Even if his is bigger, it's not, like, not bigger enough for him to feel comfortable. These are old white men. They are up here in charge of the world because they don't have big PPs, and they're making up for it. Lockpick says, yes, full contact golf. I think that would be a great idea between these two.
Okay, back to the insanity.
Yes.
Killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about
that
this
issue. That is the face
which,
of a man who
didn't.
wants to hit someone.
Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion.
Okay, Biden.
Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th.
What?
Handing something off. So what Joe could have said was he could have cut all that down and said, I support Roe v. Wade and what each woman judges best for herself.
Right.
And ended it.
Right. but he got all spaghetti, spaghetti subjected in there. Um,
He got noodled.
he got noodled. He got noodled, and so now remember what the rules of this debate were supposed to be too. So let's back up just a couple of seconds and see. Oh,
Yeah, they're supposed to be muted when they do. Oh, we got an ad break.
right. That's okay. I'll take this ad break moment to grab the and get somebody's attention.
Yeah, we've got a commercial. We also have a cat. We have cat butt.
Yes, we have very fluffy cat butt.
We have cat butt.
It's a good thing that Biden has not had any sort of gassy incident on camera.
This.
Right.
Because I know exactly what his media nickname will be after that. G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, heck no, kitten.
That's a pretty red on your fingernails.
Thank you. Thank you. I like it. I like shiny. So, yeah, we're taking a cat break for a second while we calm down before we go back to this. Okay. So yeah, that's the cat cam for when somebody redeems attempt to summon Death Kitty.
Right. That's a very nice cat cam.
Thank you. It took me a little while to figure out. It's taken me a little while to figure out the two configurations that I need for this arm. The one for when I'm reading and the other for cat cam.
Okay.
And it does take me a few minutes to switch configurations. So I've
Wow.
decided that on Tuesday streams when I'm reading, I will be disenabling
Cat cam.
cat or not cat cam. Yeah, the cat cam redemption.
Right.
So,
okay.
All right.
So rules of the debate, and we're going to go back a couple seconds to hear something.
Yes, because the rules of the debate there were
supposedly clear.
Across state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border.
All right.
We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women.
Now,
and it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is
but,
concerned, it is now
and
back
we were
with the
talking
states. The
about
states
how
are voting.
it is definitely
in many
not
cases,
an open border.
it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which, frankly, they didn't. But they would have, everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states.
Again, untrue.
I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters.
Right,
First
he didn't
time
need
is
this
between
part.
the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor
Right.
and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the
just
founders
did
wanted
not
the
need that
politicians
whole
to be
thing.
the ones making decisions about women's health is
could have
ridiculous.
just
That's the
pivoted to
last.
this.
No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be
Yeah.
making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going
That
to
look
restore
on
Roe v.
Trump's
Wade.
face.
So that
Yeah.
means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's
What
he's
are you
willing
talking
to, as we
about?
say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance.
Again.
Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die.
All
That's
he
the only
has to
circumstance in
do
which that can happen.
is
But we are
say
not
this
for
thing.
late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go.
This
51
muted
years,
mic.
and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Okay,
you.
see.
Let's turn now to the
again.
issue of immigration and border security.
Okay,
President
see,
Biden,
there
a
we go.
record
That
number
was
of migrants.
that was the rules being enforced there.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah, right. That was. Lockpick says Trump relies on his supporters not doing 5 seconds of fact checking.
Very true.
Right. A large part of what. I need to stop playing with my dice. That's a little. Ends up being a little suggestive.
Maybe you need to put something else up there to play with, or put something on the desk to play with instead. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do with dice, Lockpick.
Or shame them mercilessly when they don't do what you want them to do.
Also true.
Shelf of shame. Shame dice, shame.
Microwave.
Microwave.
Microwave. Lockpick says, do not suggest he plays with other things on stream.
He was just playing with his kitty cat.
And I tend to play with something long and hard.
Mm-hmm. We have just managed to melt Lockpick, I think. That's an awful
I'm
lot
always
of
trying to make Lockpick melt.
Yes, I know.
Eventually, he's going to find this off-putting and say so.
It involves Trump, who ran the Miss Universe pageant. Of course, it's quite the debate. Lockpick.
Lockpick said, I don't think I can do it. I can't.
Well, I'm not going to read it out loud. That's your problem.
Oh, I can't. Okay. So, we've got a pretty good idea of how this is going, right? Like what this is like. I say we jump ahead and see what happens. I'm just gonna click randomly and see what it pulls up.
Okay, because yeah, we're like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes
Right.
in at this point.
And we have a whole thing planned for this afternoon.
$5, folks. $5 contribution at this stage of the race can make all the difference come November. Just
No, it
$5.
No, no.
Oh God, did us really? Okay. All right. Let's see what travesty we just jumped into.
Okay.
Housing for Black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure because when you
I
provide those
hope
child
he's
care
talking
protections,
about
you increase economic growth because more
child
people
care
can be
costs
in the
and
job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know
I
it.
hope this wasn't a
You
foreign
have
policy
49
question.
seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed
Oh.
with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who provided had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation.
Okay, that's a lie. But
Yeah.
I'd like to say that that was actually, I mean, we came in on what was a bit stumbly, but that answer was a shining moment. That last answer was a shining moment for Biden.
There's a problem. This is what I'm doing to fix the problem, and I'm stating it in a coherent way.
Right. And and he was very forthright about how there is still a problem here. He
Mm-hmm.
he answered the question that was posed. Now, granted, he did the bare minimum for this situation. It was
True.
not well presented. His answer was not well thought out. It was not, it was rushed. It was. I don't want to say.
It was a lot of things.
Yeah, like it was rushed and yet somehow long-winded and winding.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. He's got a verbal tick. He's got a verbal tick of when his brain is buffering like everybody else's on the planet does. Most people go, he just kind of has that low tone that he makes in the back of his throat, and with the hoarseness from the cold or whatever he's got, it makes him sound far older and frailer than he is.
Yes.
And it's a verbal tick because I've heard him do it elsewhere.
The Peanut Gallery says, I just realized why B is so hoarse for this. He spent 30 to 45 minutes screaming into a pillow so he wouldn't be screaming at little T.
I mean, that's entirely fair.
Oh, and I'd like to point out that the peanut gallery uh, capitalizes B, capitalizes the L in Lil, and puts the apostrophe in, and then does not capitalize T.
Yay, throwing shade with proper grammar and then distinct disuse of proper grammar.
You know, I'd like to say I appreciate the peanut gallery. I do. He's good at this. And in this moment, I'm going to say this right now. Uh, so this morning, my joke that went up, someone commented, "Get help," and so I responded, "I have help. I have a whole team of people." Or no, I have help. I couldn't write all these jokes on my own.
Like
Get help.
you,
I've got a
you
whole
say that, and I
staff.
picture you dragging me down the sidewalk, going help, help, like in the Avengers.
Yeah. Get help. I am help. And it's not good. All right, so Trump starts with the lie. Let's see where he goes from here.
Okay,
He's
let's
blaming
go.
inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It
Oh
was
no,
so
you
good.
didn't.
All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking
Whoa,
black
whoa, whoa, whoa!
jobs,
Stop
and they're
right there.
taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it.
And so he just said that they're these outrageous numbers, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're taking black and Hispanic jobs.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What do you
I
think
thought
black and Hispanic jobs look like, sir?
leaving that aside, did we not have during the last bit of his thing all sorts of riots about things, and now you're going to sit there and make out like there's specifically jobs that are just for black or Hispanic people?
Right? Hi,
If you're going to argue
Crystal.
this point,
Hi, Crystal. Thank you for the raid. Hi, Alley Cat. Hi, JB. Hi, Evie Steph. Deb Hart. Yes. Uh, we are watching the debate from the other night, and we are being completely astounded by how awful this is. Uh, we are doing a reaction here, and I think we've skipped the part. Right now, what they're talking about is uh, how they're doing with the what the question is about the black vote. Yeah, yeah, JB, it is really sad. It is really sad. It's I I've been screaming at the screen, "What are you talking about?" through most of this. It is amazing. I think we have. I hope we have skipped the part that evoked a very strong emotional reaction in me that made me want to force choke the man through the screen. Uh, you know, I I think we should address it here and now real quick. Trump denied Charlottesville. Now,
Oh.
even when he was even when he denied it, it was unsure if he was saying, "Oh, I never said that there were good people on both sides," or if he said it never happened. But it sure sounded like he was saying it never happened and she never died. Like that's what context made it feel like. To me. And that really that that really upset me. That hurt me deeply because I was there on the day. I was there with my mother. I was not there in the alleyway, but I was there on the mall. There is also some connection there for me to her family. So Trump denying the existence of Heather Heyer hit me somewhere very personal and hurt me in a very, very personal way. It made me want to be violent. It evoked a very violent anger in me that I'm still struggling with. And it's something that I don't want to embrace is that violence. I don't want to embrace that violence. I do not want to choose violence. But man, what an idiot.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Give me a chance to. Oh no, Crystal, you didn't bring any pressure to me, love. You didn't bring any pressure
No, no,
to
no,
me.
no.
We always love when you show up. We're in ad break, so let me catch up on chat and thank everybody in chat when we come back from ad break. Okay, there we go.
Yes, lockpick getter.
Uh-oh. Things are going on in chat that I can't see. Uh-oh, uh-oh,
It's okay.
uh-oh.
Lockpick is telling her that it's okay. She can pressure you as much as she wants.
Oh. Yes, of course she can. Of course Crystal can. She's
Crystal.
Right. She has that. She is allowed. Not many people are allowed, but she is.
Crystal gets to do whatever Crystal wants.
Yes. Exactly.
Let's see.
And all right, we are back from ad break. And we're coming back into an ad, actually. Because I do need a second one of these to finish this off. Uh, Today's pre-rolls are brought to you by The Hidden Leaf in Charlottesville, Virginia, 105 West Main Street, uh, between 10,000 Villages and Hamilton's, Suite 200. Um, and I like to say that the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. So now that we're back and now that I've done my ad bit, let's catch up on chats. First off, we've got some stuff from the Peanut Gallery. So they're grassing about food costs. I bet neither of them have ever had the utter embarrassment of having to put food back because their card or check was declined for lack of funds.
Yeah. I doubt they've dealt with that either.
Also, so she's allowed to be a doc resting on me. Just me, Crystal, is allowed to be a doc resting on me. Peer pressure. Ah, 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 ah. Good one, Peanut Gallery. EB Steph said, I've never been so stunned watching a debate before. Um, Just me, Crystal. Oh my. Did not know what we were doing. It's okay, Crystal. You know, it's Inuasha Edwina. I think I said that correctly, but if I didn't, please correct me.
I
Said,
like that name.
I do too. But you have so many people that follow his words like blind sheep, and that's even worse. Yes.
Mm.
Steph says EB Steph says it's just a bummer how people will believe both of these folks without fact checking or research, right? Now, Biden isn't intentionally lying to us. He just happens to be wrong. Uh, it's okay, Crystal. You're not bringing pressure to me. You're always welcome here. And then Lockpick said, pressure him as hard as he can. Lockpick says, Crystal gets to do whatever Crystal wants. And Inuyasha Edwina says, "Oh my, OMG, you said it right from jump, LOL." I have a friend who is really into Inuyasha. I'm, and I have another friend named Edwina. And my friend Edwina and I found, we found this odd shuttered window at like knee to ankle level in an old alleyway in the middle of town, and there was a little bit broken out where you could look through and try and look into whatever the room was. And we, you know, we looked through the hole and then we started making up this whole sort of story about how what if it were a magical portal to a whole nother place and a whole different sort of dimension, and we started making up this incredible story. And now think she's an English teacher at the high school I used to go to.
Nice.
Yeah, I think she teaches there now. At least that's where she was teaching last time I ran into her, got to talk to her.
Very nice.
I think creative writing specifically. Brilliant woman. Brilliant, brilliant woman. Good friend. Stroll down amnesia lane.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're all caught up on chat, and are we all caught up on in shoutouts?
I think so. I think I got everybody that I saw typing that I could access.
All right. Then let's give it a shot.
All right.
Let's keep going. Let's see if he makes me angry enough to need to use my anger management techniques again.
Yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs.
All of you.
It provided thousands of millions
And
of
we
jobs for
appreciate you
individuals
too,
who are in
Jessica
all
Crystal.
communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, the ACA has increased. I made sure that they're $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again. And they're going to try again if they win. You find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity.
So the question is about black families, and you're boasting about putting cops on the streets.
He caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super
That
predators
was Hillary.
his name. And he called it to him for 10, and they've taken great offense.
No wonder Biden seems so confused. It's because he is. He's actually trying to listen to Trump, which is making him confused. Also, I mean, yes, Biden has a terrible, terrible history in the 80s and 90s with tough on crime bills and how that affected black communities. But he didn't say super predator. That was Hillary, A, and Trump, B.
Yeah.
Peanut Gallery says, yes, they, meaning the police, are supporting throwing a convicted felon in jail.
Yes.
That's why the police support you. They support you going to jail, Trump. Also, look at that vein on the side of Biden's head that's just been, like, throbbing this whole time. Like, the amount of misinformation is about to give him an aneurysm. Trump is deploying his secret weapon. It you know, his special power is to make your brain explode because
It just can't take anymore.
yeah, I mean it's like it's the Chewbacca defense taken all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean
at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea.
that's Trump saying it's okay for me to be awful. I have a black friend.
That is what he's saying.
Yes.
Not only that, but I have money, and I gave money to people to be my friends, so I can be awful.
Right. Also, it's Tim Scott, man. No one likes him. That is not a brag, dude. Not a brag.
Or it's not the brag you
It
think
was
it
a great
is.
idea.
Right?
It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers.
He's read lost this morning
much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever.
You did
and
not.
my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history.
Oh my god! Didn't buying indulgences stop in the 1500s?
Yeah.
No, now they're called carbon offsets.
And lobbyists. They're also called lobbyists.
Oh yeah, that too. But oh my god, just like what? The first time around, he brought climate change to immigration.
Yes.
And then he just say, we had the best climate numbers. My climate people, my, they just gave me this just before. Like, what the?
Look, under him, he's the idiot that allowed for the pipeline that came through and tried to come through and destroy this area.
Oh yeah, no, and they're still trying. They're still trying.
Including running through protected areas and trying to ignore endangered species. He's the one that did that.
Yes.
And it's his cronies, his people that he supports and support him that, among other things, have been damaging and removing protections on wetlands and wildlife areas in our favorite state to ask questions about, to the point where you've got groups of high schoolers going around and petitioning to stop damaging Florida.
Right.
And you've got the best of everything, you quack.
Did you just call him a quack?
Yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Peanut Gallery says we could have the best wind power ever if we put Lil T in front of a wind farm, put MAGA hats on the turbines, and let them talk.
Okay, now that's a renewable source of energy we can do.
Yeah, that's renewable energy right there. Thank you for listening, Crystal. Drive safely, have a safe journey,
And
and enjoy food. Get good
yes,
food. Get comfort food.
yeah.
All right. Oh, and Biden's reaction, the just what?
In history, we find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $50 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and
Haven't
colleges,
we moved on from
because
that?
they don't have the
Aren't we on?
kind of contributors that they have
We're supposed to be.
build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in
He's
college
trying
of
to
doing
bring
any
it
white
over
student
to
can do.
environment.
They just don't have the money, but now
Yeah.
they'll be able to
Oh,
get those
that was
jobs in
clumsy,
high
Joe.
tech. We're in a situation where the
Oh, that was
idea that
clumsy.
he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined
Peace
it
Accord,
because if we
Climate
reach
Accord.
1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. He must undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It
All
was
right,
a
I'm gonna
ripoff
try
of
and
the
jump
United
ahead
States.
again and see what we
And
get.
I ended it
Good
because I
luck.
didn't want to waste that.
Get the
I
We
know it's
got
late.
commercials.
You all have families, but I'm just going to keep talking.
Pardon me.
That's a pointed commercial there.
Yes.
I'm just going to keep talking.
Jake, we were doing very well in addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way.
All right. Well,
And then we
let's
had to
back
get
this up
tough.
just
And
a
it
little
was
bit.
the drugs pouring across the border were
We had the largest deficit of any president in American history.
Is he
Number
trying
one.
to claim that
Number
we didn't
two,
have any
we have not, in
addiction
fact,
issues while he
made
was
any
president?
contact, any
That's why I want
progress
to back
with
it up
China.
because this is.
We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
We
That
President
guy
lost- we
Buzz
lost
summed
Thank you,
up the
President
entire
Biden.
debate perfectly.
Let's discuss an
Yes.
epidemic impacting millions
Yes.
of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans
Love
are dying from overdoses every year,
Aldi's is
primarily
the
from
spot.
fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country.
What are they doing?
They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well in addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs pouring across the border were. It
Okay, so
started
he's
to
bringing
increase. We got
addiction
great
to
equipment. We bought the
immigration.
certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen. At numbers that nobody's ever seen under him, because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you.
Right.
President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines.
We are in ad break.
More be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents.
I'm
more
not going to
numbers
bother
of all
pausing
people
it
at the border.
because they're
And when we
mumbling
had
on
that deal done,
incoherently.
he called
Yeah.
his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines.
Okay, wait, I am pausing here because he made a really solid point there just a moment ago.
Yeah.
He did it in that, like, he did it in that way, right? God, I really thought he was just gonna mumble his way through it, but no, he threw that important thing in.
Oh.
Crikey. Yeah. Peanut Gallery says, honestly, the biggest problem is he has to respond. If he let it stay, that is another loss. Exactly. 2, 1. And we're back. Just Me Crystal is headed to Aldi's, and they are a great shopping alternative because they are good for limited people with a limited budget. Although I'm not endorsing Aldi's like I endorse the Hidden Leaf in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yep.
So I paused it. I was just gonna let him continue to mumble through the commercial break, but then he somehow slid a really important thing in there, and it's the immigration bill, the border bill that he tried to pass that was originally the Republicans' border bill that Trump then was like politically, you shut that down politically because it was bad for you. You shut that down because it was bad for you politically. Let's see.
For a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs,
right?
more numbers of agents, more numbers of
what's he
all the people at the
mumbling
border.
about?
And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl.
And said, we need
Mexico is
those
working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this
it's about
to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so
All right,
many
now what are
things that
you
we had
talking
done,
about?
hard negotiations with Mexico.
Okay,
We got it all for
I'm going to
nothing.
do another
It's
skip.
just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion
We're
for
going
a
to see
hostage.
what
I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week. Or we'll have another one of these in a week.
Putin said, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on.
Of who wins.
Just to finish what he said, if I don't fear him, they have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
No
No.
World War III. Let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done. Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might.
No.
Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing.
So that's
from
what
Trump.
we're doing,
Nothing.
is
He knew
we're
not to do
avoiding
it.
him saying.
He's not going to play games with me. He knew that.
My
I got
God.
along with him very well, but he
Hi,
knew not to play games.
Sunlight.
He took nothing from me.
2021.
But now he's going to take the whole
Welcome
thing
in.
from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because Ukraine's not winning that war.
So he's avoiding,
he said, I will never
totally
settle until
avoiding
such
this
time.
question.
They're running out of people. They're
And
running out
he's
of soldiers. They've
apparently,
lost so many people.
while
It's so
making
sad.
claims that China
They've
has
lost
bought
so
him
many
out and
people,
everything
and they've
else,
lost those
he's
gorgeous cities
claiming
with the
that
golden
he
domes
is
that are
in so
1,000
tight
years
with
old,
Putin that
all
he would have
because of
stopped the
him
war
and
before it
stupid
started.
decisions.
Yeah.
Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you
Exactly.
accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a
Yes
week.
or no?
We'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing.
Where's the
There's
preschool
no
teacher? We
evidence of
need
that
the
at all.
preschool teacher to
And
handle
I
these
tell you
two.
what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea, if you lose again, you accepted anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
Happy
I
birthday,
think
Marty.
closing
Oh, no, you
statements
don't.
are
Let me
all
get
that are
this.
left. So,
Thanks. You're too kind.
I've heard that.
Unlimited 2% cash back. The Wells Fargo Active
sorry,
Cash
I
Credit
love
Card.
those two when they work together.
Candidates
Yeah.
to deliver their close.
Commercial.
Yeah. It's Steve Martin and Martin Short. I love it when they work together.
Yes.
It's
Actually determined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you.
How did that unpause?
There.
Lockpick said, my favorite part of the entire debate. You are a child. Pretty much. I don't feel like we need to hear these closing remarks. I feel like we've gotten a pretty good idea of the absolute insanity here. And it is Thank you, Lockpick. Lockpick says, I feel so bad for America right now. JB1200 says, I might have to move to Canada. Lockpick says that JB is absolutely welcome. And
Crystal's going to go too.
yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of cold up there, but there's always that private country that's basically an oil pier. Maybe move there.
Yeah. Yeah. International waters. Get me on international waters. Get me away from all of them. Ah.
They occasionally sell cruise ships that have been decommissioned and they can't be a cruise ship anymore for like Disney or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can all get together and just buy one of those and cruise around international waters.
That sounds like a great plan. JB says, I can't even believe this is where we're at in America. I can't either. And yet, I've watched this happen. And not silently. I have said the entire time, like, from the time that Bush Jr. got elected, at the point that W beat, and beat is a generous word for it, but won the election against Gore. I saw this coming. I was like, oh, I see how this is gonna go, and I can't do a darn thing about it. And it's just Lockpick says, on behalf of the rest of the planet, none of this is a shocking result of where your politics have been headed for 30 years. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, I should have seen it coming before W. But before Clinton, I was too young to really understand politics.
Mm-hmm.
Peanut Gallery says, hanging chads has a whole new meaning these days.
Ain't
Deedly.
that the truth?
Ha ha! That hurts. All right, friends. We're gonna call it in here. Thank you for.
Uh-oh.
Nope. Not making that joke. Almost did, but nope. That's a joke for a different set of people. That's a joke. Well, no, that's a joke for Lockpick, but that's a joke for Lockpick when I'm not on camera. Thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you, Crystal, for the raid. I really appreciate it. Thank you for trusting me with your community. I am sorry that you guys walked into this house fire of a country. But here we are. Thank you all very much for being here. Tomorrow we will be playing wait, don't tell me again.
Yep.
Where I'm sure we will be covering some of this again, but with better written jokes. Because they have writers. And
Well, not only do they have writers, but they actually have presenters that don't
yes.
stall out the way the two candidates did repeatedly.
That don't what now?
Stall out.
Ah. Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
I mean, they do, but not to the levels of the two candidates we just watched.
Oh, no. I thought you were talking about their presenters on Wait, Wait, Don't Stall Out like I do.
No.
Yeah, see, Lockpick heard that too.
No. If I'm going to call you out, I'm just going to call you out. It's far easier. Besides which, I know where you live. It's easier.
Oh yeah, no, the panel on Wait Wait Don't Tell Me is way more lucid than either of the presidential candidates.
Exactly.
In fact, you know what? I think we should start a campaign, a grassroots campaign. Paula Poundstone 2024 with Adam Felber as her vice president. Poundstone Felber 2024.
I'm fine with that.
Except I don't want to take votes away from Biden.
Nah.
Even as a joke. It's not funny because the punchline is, and Trump won the election.
Yes.
Poundstone Felber 2028.
Honestly, what needs to be run is a campaign along the lines of you know. Do you remember Brewster's Millions?
Yes.
That's the kind of campaign that needs to be run. Is we don't care who you vote for, just not these two.
Right. Also, don't vote for me.
Don't vote for me. Don't vote for them.
Right.
That's the kind of campaign that needs to be run by somebody.
Yeah.
No. Honestly, if I was going to call you out, I given how much of the stuff I write, I can't actually call you out for not having a writing staff.
Right? Yeah. No, but you can call me out for not managing to get to my words very quickly.
That's no, because that's brain buffering. That's something we all do.
That's fair. I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a kind grace. But okay, well we're out of here, friends. Stick around for the raid. Because I refuse to brain buffer. I just spit out the first thing that pops into my head. We know that, Lockpick, and it's a lot of fun. That is why you are the general
Chaos.
In General Chaos. JB says I have mean brain buffer. Yeah, I do too. I usually really prepare what I'm gonna say beforehand so that I've got at least 2 sentences ahead. I'm usually trying to think 2 sentences ahead so I know what's coming next. So as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces. We're out, y'all. Don't forget to stick around for the raid.
There was nothing left for us but darkness, fear, and ruin. And also there was an eclipse.